everybody, welcome to another video. If you're new to the channel, then a warm welcome, and if you've been with us a while, then just a warmer welcome. This is a generic video really. It's going out at the start of the melee finer force videos, and it's just a way of me showing you the differences physically, rather than just talking about it when I'm spraying. So you have the B version, you have the T version, and you have the R version. Now the B version is in 1.6mm, and it's designed more as a clear coat gun. It's designed for thick coatings, as they say. So that's that one there. And then you've got the T version, and this is designed more for, they say, pearls and metallics. And you've also got the R version, which is generally regarded as a more all-round gun. Now you can see with the difference between the T and the R, this one being the T, that one being the R, that there's not much difference at all as far as the actual nozzles are concerned. The whole arrangement is exactly the same, but you'll see that with the 1.6, the B version, that there's double the air holes basically at the front, and that's going to be for finer atomization, which is normally necessary for clear coat and thicker coatings. So that's the reason that's done that. As I say, it's also 0.2 millimeter more. You can see the difference here between the two air caps. He says the air caps are more or less the same. It's not coming out very well on the video. Are more or less the same, but effectively the T has got slightly bigger holes here in the air horn, and what that means is it's got a higher air consumption, about 30 millilitres more air per minute it uses. So if you're a guy at home, maybe the all-rounder is a better gun to have if you're limited with air supply. The air supply for this is more or less the same. It's between the two really, I've found, but this is a dedicated clear gun, and it's much better for clear, because it behaves more like a full-size minigun, if that makes sense. One thing you'll find, and I buy all my own guns, so I'm not championing somebody here or a make here that are giving me something for nothing, is that these things are really well made, superbly well made. I've been so impressed with them, it's unreal. For the about £180 on eBay from Painting Tools Japan, I buy them from, and they're really good. This stand at the bottom, if you don't like that, it just pulls off if you don't want it, so it's no big deal really to put on or to take off like that. So as I say, this is a generic video. It's going out at the front of most of the videos with these guns, just so that people get an idea of what the difference between the three of them are. They're all side cups, which actually I like. I know a lot of people, well, I say a lot of people, some people don't like side cups, but I like side cups, and I just can't see a problem with side cups at all. But anyway, if you're left-handed, then maybe it would be a problem, because the cup's obviously going to be in your face effectively. But for the right-handers like me, then it's absolutely fine. All right guys, thanks for watching, and we'll go on to the video now. So hopefully you've watched the generic introduction, which is the little thing I did, which is going to go, as I said before, each of the videos featuring these guns. Now there's two prongs to this video. One is the two guns, which are new to the channel, so I'll give you a bit of a review on those. But also, one of the things I was looking at is how much difference the base coat makes to a colour. So by base coat, I mean your substrate, so whatever primer you've put down. So in this case, take it to extreme, we've got a white primed tank. So this is actually done in white primer and then sanded, high build primer and then sanded. And we've got one in black high build primer and then sanded. So it's, as I say, the two extremes of the two ends. So let's start off talking about the guns, and then you'll slowly see the tanks unfold, the difference between the tanks unfolding as we go along. So this is a Mercedes Hal Mango Green, which is a Mercedes 6375. Now, in the literature, I guess it would depend where you got the paint from, but where I got the paint from, it says it must go over, or should go over, a white to give you the correct shading. So when you're looking at these two tanks, the one that's white, which is obviously the one you've just seen being done, is how the paint manufacturer recommends this paint is applied, over a white. And then we just look at the black to see what the difference is, and you'll see me spraying each one, and as I say, it will unfold as it goes along. But let me first of all start by talking about the melee. Is it melee or Meiji? I'm not quite sure how you say it, but the I'm going to say melee, but I may well be pronouncing it wrong. Spray guns. So this is going to be using both of them. It's the R and the B. Now, if you if you looked at the introduction, the R is considered, which is what we're using now, is considered to be the all-round base gun, but I suspect it's probably a reasonably good all-round gun. I haven't tried it with clear coat yet, but I suspect it probably is okay. But certainly as an all-round base gun. So we're using it on metallic, which is not ideal. The one that they recommend for using with the metallics is the T, but we'll use that. I've got that. I'll do another video with that in it anyway, so you'll be able to see that. But this one is more user friendly to the chap at home. As I was saying in the introduction, it actually uses reasonable amount of air, 180 litres a minute, which is, what's that, 6.5 CFM, something like that. So you don't need a huge compressor to run it, and as I say, it will do most things. And using it as I have, probably about 6 or 7 times since I've had it, I've got used to it, and there's no real trip ups in it. It's a very, very good gun. I know I keep on about the build quality of these things, but the build quality is absolutely superb. I didn't bite the bullet and buy a milli spray cup, because I've got some NS Iwata ones, and the Iwata ones fit perfectly. So the side cup Iwata ones fit exactly the same. So many would probably shoot me for that, but they are the same, and they work absolutely fine. So that's what I'm using. In fact, one of these is actually these are both genuine Iwata cups. I've got a pattern Chinese one as well, which actually works okay. It's not as nice inside really, but it doesn't seem to affect the paint. So we're going on to the darker base, which we will get to in a minute, but you'll see the difference. It's quite a stark difference between obviously the white and the black, so we'll see what difference the colour it makes. But I found this gun really, really nice. I use it at 2 bar. I'll put the gun settings on there anyway, but I use it at 2 bar. The fluid with the base gun obviously will depend what your substrate's like. You'll often see me put small, maybe put 5 small coats on it. And that's because I'm a little bit suspect of what's underneath. If there's a bit of old paint there or something, depends what you're doing. If there's a bit of old paint there, don't go too mad with your paint, especially if they're solvent based like this is, because it'll pickle it up basically. So it will put out a reasonable amount. If you want good coverage, you'd get away with doing it in 2, maybe 3 goes, depending what your sub base is and what your colour is with this gun. So it can pump it out quite well. Bear in mind it's supposed to be a mini gun, midi stroke mini, I would guess you would put it. But it works really, really well, and I really enjoy using it. As I said in the intro as well, a lot of people don't like the side cuts, and I think if you're a left-hander, maybe it would get on your nerves, because it would be like over your side, if that makes sense. Whereas if you're right-handed like me, it's over to the right and it's completely out of the way, so you don't notice it. To be fair, I don't notice it. I don't notice any difference really. It can be handy sometimes when you're in a smaller confined space, because the cup, because it's on the side, it's dropped down a bit, so it's actually shorter than a cup on top, which is quite good. And also I like the ability to angle it, but I mean, I've said those things before anyway, so I'm just going over the same thing really. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this video as a combination set with the 2 guns is the base gun, which is the B, the clear gun, which is the B, which is a 1.6, This one, which is the base version, is a 1.4. The clear gun, the 1.6 clear gun, is a little bit of an anomaly. That's it. A little bit of an anomaly in that it uses 1.6 for clear, and 1.4 for base is actually quite big as well. And when you first mention that to people sort of like think, oh really, you know, for a clear gun, doesn't that put too much on, or whatever? Well, it doesn't. It puts on a good amount. What it does is it speeds the gun up without making it too thick, too cheesy, if that makes sense. So the atomization is good, and you'll see the video at the start. The way the cap changes is you know, the nozzle changes with the extra air holes really does make a difference. It can push that material out through that bigger tip. It seems to atomize it just as well, so it just makes more good spray, if that makes sense, a more atomized pattern, which, you know, just means that you put more material on, which for a minigun is good. And if you want to throttle it back, you can do. And when I look at these guns, I've got the Iwata set as well, which I will do a video of, but I haven't done yet. Well, I have actually, but I haven't edited it and put it up on YouTube. But I've got the Iwata pair, the 1.4 and the 1.6 for base and clear. I've got the pair of those, and I've got quite used to the sort of like the bigger tip for the base and the clear, and it actually works really well in this sort of configuration. So one of the things I was bearing in mind when I did the DV1S video was the fact that with the DV1S, you're paying like £400 these days, which in US dollars at the moment is probably about 550, something like that. I mean, it might be cheaper in the US, but that's what we're paying over here, which is quite a lot of money. Now, you can get two of these with a cup for that much money. And for me, this represents much better value. Having two of these, whether it's the Iwata or the Melis, I think it's better value, because you're getting a dedicated clear gun and you're getting a dedicated base gun. So it enables you to do exactly what you want in a way that you should do it, i.e. it's best to have a dedicated base gun and a dedicated clear gun, because it keeps the spraying cleaner. It's just better, you know, it's a better thing to do. And it means that if you're doing a base and clear, you can do your base, you can get on with your clear. The quicker you can get the clear on, as long as the base has gone off, the quicker you can get the clear on, the better the adhesion will be, and it's just better, really. So in my mind, when I'm looking at the DV1 and I'm sort of saying to you that it doesn't, in my opinion, represent brilliant value for money, it's because I've got things like this. I mean, I didn't have this one at the time, but I had, as I say, I had the Iwata, and because I had those, I'm thinking to myself, well, you buy one of those, buy a base gun, buy a clear gun, and a cup, or even two cups, and you're away, and you're at the same price. So that's always something I bear in mind. You know, I'm a bit of a freak, really, because I buy a lot of tools. I love my tools. And I realise that a lot of people aren't in the same position as me. They can't afford to do it, don't want to do it, can't buy it, you know, whatever. And they're just not in the same position as me to be able to do this. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I would recommend these two above a DV1S, simply because they are much more universal. You can do something fast, you can do full panels with it. I've got a few car panels to do, which I'll show you using different guns so that you can relate it more to a car panel. But you can see that these things actually work really well. You can throttle it back if you want to. So if you want a slower gun, I think they atomise very well. The clear version does anyway. For clear coat, which is ultimately what most of the finish will be. When you think of a finish, unless you've done really bad with the base coat, your actual finish, as far as peel goes, is going to be the quality of the clear coat application, because that is the thing you see at the end. So I think, you know, a set of these represents much better value for money than the DV1S. And you've obviously got two different tip sizes as well, albeit larger than the DV1, but I think, you know, I think they're a really good combination, so I would highly recommend them. And the clear version, the B, which is the one we're using now, really puts it out nice. As I say, it can be a pump if you want it to, and if you don't want it to, then you can throttle it back. I used it on full fluid because I'm just going straight on, and you know, there's no I haven't got to worry too much about how much I apply, as long as I don't over apply it. So if you're doing like a spot repair, then you would throttle it back a little bit, but it's capable of doing a lot, which I really like. So we're getting towards the end of the video, and you can see the difference that the base colour makes. I'll put the two together at the end so that you can see it, but it really does make a lot of difference. And when you are doing a repair at home, or doing something at home, or where you're not in a professional setting, do bear in mind what your base colour is like, as to how it will affect your paint, because I put on probably about 4 or 5 coats on each of these tanks, just to give it a chance to, you know, because people are going to say, oh, but you didn't put much on the white one, that's why it looks lighter. But I put on the same amount on both, and you can see the difference is quite stark. So it does make a lot of difference. Somebody said to me once that the best way of telling is to take a photo and turn it into monochrome or black and white, whatever you want to call it, and look at the colour of the paint you're applying, and try and go for a base colour, so a primer colour, very similar to that in black and white, in monochrome, and that will give you an idea of what colour to use. But you can see it's quite stark. They both come out really nice. It's a lovely colour, but this one with the black, you can see the black here, is a much darker green. As I say, still nice, but it's not how the manufacturer intends it to be. So it would look really odd on your Mercedes if that was the colour. So thoroughly recommended guns. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll say goodbye, just to say thanks for everybody that subscribes and watches the videos and that. It always is appreciated, as you can imagine. I just do it for fun, really, but I just enjoy doing it. All right then, guys, well, thanks very much. You can see the difference a white base and a black base makes. Okay, thanks very much. Bye bye.